Hey guys, and welcome to a special episode of Captain Fizz, the Mask Guy Show. I'm a little bit more mellow than normal.
Mellow yellow.
They call me Mellow Yellow. Just hit the music, please.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Captain Fizz and Mask Guy Show. I am Captain Fizz.
And I, as always, am El Hombre Loco Enmascarado, better known as That Mask Guy.
And unfortunately, we have a very sad, mellow, whatchamacallit kind of show.
It's a little melancholy this week.
A little bit, last week we talked about Star Wars. The week before, we talked about
Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks being, a Sith Lord. And actually, if you go back and watch some of the, Disney, Clone Wars TV show, whatever you want to call it, he kind of seems that way, but that's besides the point. Over the last week and some odd, we have lost a lot of great stars. Many who have been inspirations one way or another in the, whether it be music or film, some of them both.
Yep.
We might as well start with the big one, Alan Rickman.
Mr. Alan Rickman.
He was 69. He passed away on January 14th. He was Professor Snape.
Well, that was the role he was best known as.
That's the only role I will recognize him of, other than...
Excuse me. You know what? To go off and just say that, 8 movies about a boy wizard is all that this wonderful actor, gave us is just...
He brought people to tears more in those 8 movies than any of his other ones put together.
It's just... it was absolutely fabulous, this whole... I'll admit, I remember when I first read the books, the first couple of books, and then I heard they were coming out with the movie. The first person that came to mind for Snape was Alan Rickman. I was overjoyed when he got the role because I knew, he would just blow it out of the water.
And he did. Professor Snape was that one character that you love to hate.
Absolutely.
It was beautifully done. He was a phenomenal actor. He has done many, many roles, which of all the ones who have passed away, he's the only one we have done research on of all his roles because he was a great inspiration in the world of film. And
it's amazing when you think about this, but I told you this earlier. Alan Rickman, he didn't actually start doing films until he was in his 40s. I think it was 46. So, he kind of got into it a little later, but, my God, I was looking at the list of movies that he's done that I've been huge fans of. His first movie role at all was as Hans Gruber in Die Hard, which, I thought he was fabulous in. He was the Sheriff of Nottingham in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves back in 91. Galaxy Quest, in 1999 he played Sir Alexander Dane. And I just thought of the line that his character within the movie was quoted on the show Galaxy Quest by Grabthar's hammer, by the sons of Warven, you shall be avenged. And, it seems kind of apropos that, that we should, take our revenge out on cancer for taking away not just Alan Rickman, but a lot of great actors.
Yes, actually, of our list of 5, I apologize, one of them does not have a name because I couldn't find it, and I decided Google was not my friend tonight. All 5 passed away from cancer, that dreaded C word.
Yes.
We promise we won't stay, mellow and...
not the entire time, but
the entire time.
I was looking at it, of course, and there was the Harry Potter series, but then he did the voice for Marvin in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which I thought, for the most part, did the book justice. And of course, he was in Alice in Wonderland, and as the voice for what IMDb refers to as the Blue Caterpillar. And
excuse me, but it's the hookah smoking caterpillar. Always has been. Always will be. I want to party with that thing.
It's interesting because I think Alice actually refers to him as having the name in Alice in Wonderland. And he, before he passed away, he did the voiceover for the same role for the upcoming Alice Through the Looking Glass. And of course, he's been in so many other fabulous movies. I know one of my wife's favorite movies. Love Actually, which had pretty much every famous English actor in it. He was in Sweeney Todd as well. I think he was the judge in that as well. So, he's done so many, great roles. I really wish we were film guys.
I have to go back and either rewatch that movie or look at the credits because that just took me off guard. That's one of my favorite all-time movies. And the judge is actually one of my favorite characters because of how well he was done.
Well,
I
obviously.
did not know that it was Alan Rickman who did it, and I have more appreciation for such a great, phenomenal movie. And yeah,
but I was looking at this and I just thought, wow. This guy has had an impact on me, since I was 10 years old. Before you were even born. Which is kind of funny.
I was never born. I was hatched.
That explains so much.
I'm the golden goose, laying golden eggs. Another one we lost, which was also a great... He was also 69, also passed away with cancer, and he passed away on January 10th, was the one and only David Bowie.
Yeah, when we kind of touched on it last week on the show, because we had just found out about it. Last week's episode was a taped episode, so literally the news had only come out, I think, a few hours beforehand. That David Bowie had passed away. David Bowie had a big impact. In our genre, that we kind of dwell on a lot. Science fiction, fantasy. He did go off and star as the Goblin King in Labyrinth
yes.
from Jim Henson.
By far a very dark and twisted, but a phenomenal movie. And the Goblin King is the only person or thing from that movie I actually remember.
Well, it was a great movie, and I remember reading the stories. And Jim Henson, originally, there was a book that he went off and the movie was based off of, and he decided instead of making a Muppet, Goblin King, he wanted to have one of 2 actors play it, or musicians, pardon me. And it was either going to be David Bowie or he wanted to get Sting. And
Sting would have been a mockery to that role.
I can't argue with that. Honestly, I can't imagine anyone but David Bowie in that role. And it's kind of funny because if you look back at David Bowie during the 1970s, I'm trying to remember. It was something Stardust, Iggy Stardust, or something. He was his alter ego,
yes.
and it looked almost like an alien. And so it seems really apropos that we go off and we talk about him because here's a guy who at one point everyone thought it was from Mars, and we talk about sci-fi. Fantasy.
He is from Mars. He is boarded his spaceship and he has gone home.
Along with so many others. What really hit me hard about these two is it was completely out of left field, and I mean, both seem very genuinely nice people. Just reading all the tributes that were done for Alan Rickman, it's just amazing, what type of man he is or was.
Yes, he was very famous for taking out an entire page in a newspaper thanking his Harry Potter co-stars, for the experience and the memories and the years that they were together. So it's such a huge person, and obviously J.K. Rowling was a huge thank you to her as well.
I found it interesting. A couple years ago, Alan Rickman, I know we were talking about David Bowie, and I'm sorry, guys, we're going back down the rabbit hole here. And Alan Rickman had mentioned a couple years ago that when before the first movie came out, that Rowling had went off and gave him a little tidbit to help him, kind of find motivation and understanding in the character. This was back before she had only wrote, I think, the first 3 books. And I don't remember the exact line of what it was, but I more or less in the last movie is revealed Snape's relationship with Harry's mother and how they were friends as children, and it wasn't until he turned to the dark arts that they went their separate ways. And he says something along to the lines of, after Dumbledore asks him a question, he says, "Yes, always," or something along those lines. So he's always loved, Harry's mother. And he said, according to Rowling, that is the words that she gave him. And kind of explained, why, Snape has always looked at Harry the way he has. Is because, he loved his mother, hated Harry's father. And Harry looks a lot like his dad. So, and it was just, that nice little tidbit, I mean, and just everything. I mean, Daniel Radcliffe went off and said that, despite the fact that he never expected Alan to come, Alan came to when he was on Broadway. And, other people would state that it wouldn't matter where Alan Rickman was in the world. If you called and, asked him, if they wanted to come visit, he would travel from wherever he was to come see you. So, I mean, he was an absolutely, great guy.
No, exactly. And, we've all pretty much acknowledged the fact that, people pass away and whatnot. But, when you don't expect it and you don't know what's coming, like, Alan Rickman was, very quick and sudden. David Bowie was apparently, 18 months, that he knew about this and, chose not to reveal. He actually released a video 3 days before he passed away.
Lazarus.
Lazarus. Basically, it was a memento for the fans, and it was a very moving. Very moving video.
I wasn't sure what to take from it. It was a very surreal video. If you guys haven't seen it, I encourage you to go track it down. And there seems to be almost 2 characters in here. One, part is he's laying in a bed with some sort of cover over his eyes.
Which actually would be a tribute to Pan's Labyrinth. The creature in Labyrinth, at least. So
you think so?
Yes.
I thought it was kind of interesting, and then there was this creepy-looking girl. And I almost felt like, when he was laying in bed, it was like, death was coming for him. He was fighting, and then there was him, dancing around and, trying to write stuff out.
Yeah, it was actually, it was nice to see him still be able to move, as well as he used to, just before passing. But, it is what it is. He is at peace. Another one that we have lost that really wasn't a big shock, actually, the last 2-ish were not big shocks at all. Lemmy Kilmister, he was 70. He passed away on Boxing Day, and I shouldn't have to inform people who he is, but I will anyways. He is from Motorhead.
He was the lead singer. He was also the bass player for Motorhead.
He was Motorhead.
He was Motorhead. For wrestling fans, who aren't aware, Motorhead did the theme song for both Triple H's themes, Bow to the King, as well as